everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing another makeup look for the Crochet Along Halloween thing that I'm doing on my other channel with Crystal. So today I wanted to do something inspired by like melting, and I had a couple makeup looks on my Pinterest board that I thought were really cool. And so there were a couple options that were like melting but skeletons, and so I think that's what I'm going to do today. So to do this, I am going to do a couple different techniques and things that I would normally do if I was doing like a full makeup like this that I didn't do yesterday, and we'll just see how it goes. Just kind of flying from the seat of my pants, if you will. Let me get my light up and going. Well, right. So first I'm going to glue down my eyebrows. So I like the glue stick method. Use purple glue, the type that dries clear. I find it's just easier because then you know when it's dry. Yep. So what I'm going to do is, I almost forgot the first step right off the bat. So I'm going to grab some alcohol wipes. 1 second. Okay, so I got an alcohol prep pad. You can also just use alcohol out of the bottle with a anything like a cotton ball, cotton pad. So you want to really scrub in all around the eyebrow. This is also good if you're covering up your sideburns, like let's say you're wearing a wig and you want to have this part covered so that you, because that typically shows in a lot of wig styles. So there's something to keep in mind, that you can use this for multiple things. So this is going to remove any residual makeup, any oils, any really anything on your skin that would get in the way of creating a good seal. And then you can drop it. But this is, for me, I found that this is actually like the biggest thing on, if it kind of determines if my makeup's gonna make it or not. So I roll up my sleeves a little bit because it is still very, very hot in here. What are you gonna do? So to start my to start covering my brows, I actually go backwards. And there's a lot of really great videos out there on how to cover your brows. So this is not the end all be all if this technique isn't your favorite. So really scrub it into the brow. If you do tend to trim your brows, I actually find that it works better if you don't trim before you do this. The longer the hair is, the more surface area there is for the glue to attach to and glue down straight. After you've really scrubbed it in there, front, back, all around, then you can take that glue and you can push that up and out. And I like to kind of take my finger and gently get away any excess glue that's on my skin that tends to not sit super well over time. So I'm going to do my other eyebrow. I'm just realizing now how unprepared for this makeup look I am, so I'm going to have to step away a couple times, but this should just be a couple seconds at a time. So, sorry. So you want to try to get as much on your hair and as little on your skin as you can, because the skin's going to have oils and stuff break through, and that's just going to be more annoying than anything else. So get on your hair and less on your skin. But it's kind of unavoidable. If you also have like a little bit of water, you can take your finger and like a little bit of that water, because this is washable glue, and you can smooth out the edges just like that. Okay, so I like to do 3 coats for my eyebrows. So you want to let this dry completely in between your brows. So I'm going to go grab a hand fan and then we can keep going. Watch me trip over everything while I'm getting it here. So this is going to be a pretty involved makeup look, but it's definitely not impossible for someone who's fairly new at makeup to be able to do. It just might take a little bit of practice, but I believe in you. You can do it. Something in my eyeball. And you want to make sure these are completely stuck down before you go to the next level. Another thing that I did that I thought everyone was doing when I first, or when I was covering my eyebrows before I looked and found this method, was doing powder in between each layer. And I find that that just really kind of gunks it up and makes it look a lot worse, makes the end result look a lot worse, and your eyebrows still pop. So it's not like it actually does. I do put powder on, but that's my last layer. Stare into the fan. You're getting very, very sleepy. Or maybe you're not. It's okay too. So I'm just going to gently touch. Yeah, we still have quite a bit to go. And you have to consider that when the air is more humid, when you're sweating more, all of these things, all that's going to make the glue dry faster, or sorry, slower. So if you are normally able to do your brows in 10 minutes, it might take a little bit longer. And it is summertime, so she's sweaty. I had one of those like battery fans that I really like, but I forgot to charge it. So here we are, hand fan. Hello, welcome in. So today I'm going to be doing this like melted skeleton look. And I put the first coat of glue on my eyebrows to glue them down. And we are going to go through a whole big long process to get this face covered in a lot of makeup. It's going to be a lot of makeup, but that's okay. How are you doing today? Okay, so once the first layer is dried, then we're going to take our glue. Now, because we have the glue kind of our brows going in a specific direction, we're going to go in that same direction for the rest of our layers. If you have fuller eyebrows than I do, you might need more layers than me. Or if you have thinner brows, you might need, one less or so. But that's totally up to you. So we're not going to go back and forth like we did in the previous round. We're just going to go and apply that glue. And you want to get a good layer on there because you want it to kind of fill in all of the pits between the hairs so that when you put makeup over it and everything, it's nice and solid. Make sure to get those. If you have like your brows are like me where you have like a couple hairs right in the front, make sure to get those and glue those down. We're going to do the same thing on the other eye. Remember, if you get some on the skin, you can take a little bit of water. and gently remove it from outside of the shape of your eyebrow. Another great tip is if you do have really full eyebrows or you have trouble filling in all the lines between your brows, is you can take something like a spatula, the end of a brush, and then you can scrape that along the top of your glue and then really push that into all of those little pits with the brush or spatula, and that helps a lot. So layer 2, and now we're going to let it dry. It's just nice to have a fan. So while I'm letting this air dry, because the third layer is typically the last layer that I do, I'm going to get some powder out. You want some loose powder, so whichever loose powder is your favorite. Is my powder. I sprayed a bit. Not too long ago. Still a bit sticky. Again, we want this to be really, really dry. Because if it's not dry when you try to drag the glue stick through it again, you're going to start to, it's going to pill up. It's going to start tugging at what's already semi-set, and it's going to just be not as smooth as you want it. So you really, really want to let this dry. Take your time with this. I know it's easy to be impatient with this because it's the first step, but it's worth it, trust me. Because if you don't get the brows glued right, it can affect the rest of the makeup, which is annoying. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so I'm going to open up my powder and have my damp sponge ready. I want it like barely any moisture in there, or you can use a powder puff, whatever works best for you. And then we're going to start to apply our last layer of glue. Okay, so once we've applied some glue, I'm going to dip the tip in just a little bit of water. You can lick it if it's just for you. I know when I am doing my own, I tend to lick it, but then kind of, you don't want like a ton of moisture. You just want like a a little bit, so I'm just kind of getting any extra off. And then go through, and that's going to smooth out the glue because it thins it out a little bit. And then immediately after, you're going to take a good amount of powder and you're just going to jam it into that wet brow. Just like that. Doesn't need to be even, you just need to have a crap ton on it. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other eyebrow. It's getting in my eyeball. Wet it. And the reason why we powder so quickly after it is to make sure that none of that moisture gets through all of the layers of the glue and starts breaking up all of the hard work that we've done. So that's the eyebrows for the most part. And we'll probably have to do some color correction depending on, what we do from here. But right now, you can take the sides of the eyebrow. They don't really need it. But just let that powder sit on those brows. So next I'm going to prime my skin. This is a good look, right? Now I'm going to prime my skin. I'm not going to go over my forehead or not going to go over my eyebrows or that area because I want to make sure that again doesn't have any excess moisture on it. Oops, sorry. Oops. So this is the MAC primer I really like using. It's great for oil control. Got to get it around the piercings. And then this is the pore filling primer from One Size. I think it's called Secure the Pore. Oh my gosh, don't need to keep pressing that. Then we're going to take a pencil that's close to our skin color or white, depending on what you have available to you. So we're just going to take a liner and start drawing out the shape that we want for our look. It doesn't matter a lot what color you use because it will be covered up. It's just breaking apart. Okay, I'm just gonna not worry about this right now. That's future me's problem. So I want the drip to go kind of, and I'm drawing really like sporadically and not really in like a specific shape. If you don't like something, you can just pat it away. That's the benefit of doing all your shaping now, is that it doesn't really matter what it looks like. You can make adjustments here. Then I think I want my eye to have some kind of drippy nonsense coming out of it. And then the one I was looking at had kind of like a line at the bottom of the neck where it started to drip. And I don't really want to go that far down because I hate neck makeup. It doesn't last on me. And it's just something that I just really not a huge fan of. So I'm kind of going to draw like a little, like I can do a lot and make it stay, but I just never really care about doing that much for it. So I just kind of drew like a little white wavy drippy line. So something in that vicinity just for the drips. Where did I put my phone? I'm going to use my phone for the reference for the skull. Okay, let me move some stuff around. Do I know where my phone is? 1 second. Sorry, I told you I wasn't prepared. Okay, found it. Okay, so we're going to kind of start drawing the details of the skeleton right now. And there's a lot of ways that you can do skeleton makeup. You can do it hyper realistic and have it look super real. You can do kind of like a classic skull like shape and see if you like that. So first I'm going to start drawing the eye hole shapes. So I'm kind of going off of this one right here, which is super cool, right? So this is a good opportunity to kind of like acquaint yourself with your anatomy as you start drawing the shapes. So you can go in and you can feel where that orbital socket is. And so that's where you'll want to, and this is going to look the most realistic with your anatomy. Okay, this pencil has stopped being useful. Me too, pencil, me too. You can also do it more like glam, where you kind of do the eyes as like smoky black and then you draw teeth on. Like there's so many ways to do skeletons that it's nice that you can kind of just play around and have fun with it. Now the orbital bone also goes below right here, but because I'm doing the drip right here, I'm going to kind of play around with how that turns out. I'm also going to turn the edge of my eyes up a little bit, just because I like the way that it looks. I'm try to sharpen this pencil. need something to stick into this pencil sharpener. That did not help. We're gonna get this out, everybody. Hello, welcome in. Today I'm gonna be doing like a melted skeleton type makeup inspired by something I saw on Pinterest. Just trying to get my sharpener cleaned out a little bit so I can sharpen pencils. Okay, there we go, much better. So it kind of flares out at the bottom like that. Not quite that shape, but we're getting a general idea. So we're going to try to match that to the other eye. And anytime you have to go over the brows that we've blocked down, you want to be very, very gentle because it's easy to disrupt them. And you want to do as little as you can over the brows because they are just inclined to want to get unstuck from your face. So just something to keep in mind that you want to be very, very gentle on them. Again, just kind of feeling around on the anatomy of your face. To kind of feel where things go. And you can exaggerate certain things if you think it'll look better. It's just really a practice of having fun. Now, with this part for the nose, I clearly have a lot of nose jewelry. I keep all my facial piercings in when I do this type of makeup. So just, you know, it's just pretend that the illusion's intact. So with this, we kind of start kind of like close to halfway down the nose or a third of the way up from the bottom, kind of depending on your own face. We're going to draw a line straight down. We're going to try to. So 2 parallel lines, even though one's a little thicker. And then go down. Now, some people, and sometimes I will, go all the way to the crease of my nose, and sometimes I don't like how that looks going all the way down because when you turn to the side, it looks a little extra crazy. So there's definitely the option to play around with that. I'm really big into just like trying things out and seeing how I like it. Because I just don't think that there's really that many hard and fast rules when it comes to makeup. I'm going to actually take those these lines in my nose and go in more And you'll have plenty of time to kind of like nitpick and see if this is exactly what you want. But just kind of get like the general idea. So something like that. And you can, for me, my nose is pretty straight, so this works. I can just take my finger and wipe down my nose just like that, and it straightens up anything that wasn't the most straight before. But these areas are going to be black, so you're going to have to dab off quite a bit of that white. Anyways, next we have cheekbones, teeth, all of that. So I like to, for the jawline, I start at, so if you feel where your jaw hinges when you open and close your mouth. So this is actually called the temporomandibular joint, the TMJ. When people say they have TMJ, they typically mean they have TMD, which is the disease that comes with not having it work functionally. So if you feel that, that's where we're going to start our jaw. I'm going to have it come down just like that. We're going to put some more detail later, but this is where we'll start. You also have muscles and everything in your face, so it's important to keep in mind that when you're touching your face and moving around, that you kind of know the face enough to know whether you're touching bone, or muscle, or anything like that. I did a skeleton makeup one time. I have it in my portfolio, and we did this makeup. So it was a 2-look makeup photo shoot. We did the first part at the photographer's home, and then we did the second part literally in a garage in the middle of like a tornado warning in downtown Fayetteville, North Carolina, which it was like the least severe of the tornado like warning and watches. I can never get them quite right. So then I did it in the parking lot. It was very, very dark. And we did this full skeleton makeup. Actually, did I do the skeleton makeup first? I did the skeleton makeup first, and I did the second look in the parking garage. It was wild. I feel like when you do editorial makeup and you do photo shoot makeup, like those are the types of stories that like it's just like they don't really happen. It's just such a weird experience that you will continue to have over and over and over again. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking these parts of my upper jaw, and I'm trying to kind of find that sweet spot where I like how it looks coming in. Because also you have to consider when you are doing a skeleton makeup, your skeleton doesn't have fat, whereas your face is going to have fat, it's going to have muscle. So it's going to have more volume on top of it, and you're trying to kind of reduce everything to the size of what it would look like if it didn't have all of that. So it's just kind of a playing the game. So we're also going to draw teeth. So you're just going to start drawing the general shape of the teeth. And the first part I like to draw is the part that you would see peeking out of the gum line. I'm not counting these to keep them. I'm not like, sometimes it pays to like have that detail, and other times I'm like, you know what, I just would rather do something faster. So today's a faster look. So my lips are going to be where the teeth are going to be. And we'll clean them up. Remember, this is just our sketch. Hi, welcome in. Then once we get into detail work, then we'll do the roots of the teeth, which the roots of the teeth actually go up into the skull. They are bone, so we will do all that. But this has given us a pretty good shape to start with. I think that I want to have this come like a little bit further down. But that's pretty decent. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with a water-based makeup, and then I'm gonna move into my cream-based makeup. First, I'm gonna find the cap. You can also use cream for the black part, but for me, I just I like the security of knowing that it's not going anywhere. So I'm using the Mayron Paradise Makeup Aqua Colors. This is just the black one. Dip your brush in some water, and you want to start mixing them together, and you're going to do this until you get a really even consistency. You don't want to just put water in there and try to, it's kind of like watercolors, where you got to mix it a little bit before you can get that good consistency. So just like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this in all of the places that I want pure black. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to clean it up quite a bit. So just something like that. Now, if you are using water-based colors all over, just keep in mind you're not going to use them on your eyebrows because, again, that will make them lift up. We just got to keep water away from that area. And you might be like, that's a huge brush. Why did you pick that brush to do this with? I need your judgment. Also, sometimes I get into a place where I like have a really hard time fighting, not like really hard time, but I can be a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to makeup. And so doing things that are kind of make my doing my makeup a little bit more difficult actually kind of helps me get things done faster because I have to weigh like, was this worth it to spend this much time on it? You know, I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm not really a perfectionist anywhere else. So even out those shapes, it's okay. It's okay. So now I'm going to go in and start filling in this shape. You want to make sure it's relatively even on both sides. Now, you also, I didn't sketch this out, but you also have this this kind of divot in on your temple. So I'm just going to kind of go in and quickly put that there. This is going up into where I put that. This is going to be covered on the other side. So that is what just the black looks like. Let's do a little bit on the neck to kind of slim down. I don't know. I hate this black on the neck. You will want to cover your ears because ears are cartilage and therefore would not be part of your skeleton. And then just kind of blend it out by kind of doing these like tapering sweeps. It's really easy to get in the like, is this like even? Is this opaque enough? All of that stuff. When you put that whole makeup together, I look crazy, by the way. I look absolutely fucking bonkers. But when you put all of it together, you don't really notice those little details. So it's easier if you spend time trying to do like a good enough job until the end, and then you decide if that's if you want to go into more detail. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Okay, so now I'm going to use Clown White. It is, you know, every drag queen, and you know, if you know, you know, Clown White is a very reliable product. Now there are like white foundations out there now, and there's options, but Clown White is very reliable product that a lot of us makeup folk use. So I'm going to use a little triangular sponge. I'm not going to do anything. I didn't even bother trying to find my all white sponge. And with any cream makeup, if you want it to look its best, you're going to want to apply it. Oh, shit, I forgot my nose. And a lot of the times also, a lot of the time when you see the nose work right here, one of these comes up higher. So I like the way that looks. I feel like it gives the makeup a little bit more of a dynamic look. But do what makes you happy. So see how I'm going to do like one a little bit higher up. It looks crazy crooked, right? Why are you so crooked? Okay. That's a detail that will be automatically covered up. I know it. Okay, so for the white, so we're going to go ahead and start dabbing to get it as white as possible. You don't want to start mixing this with other colors. So in the places where it starts to get close to the other color, we're going to do that with a brush. So don't worry about that. Now, if you're finding that the clown white alone will not cover your brows, which sometimes it does not, usually it does a great job and that's why people like clown white, because it does cover up brows and things like that. You might need to do some color correcting before you put the brows on top. And sometimes moving your face around and making stupid faces in the mirror actually really, really helps you see the different spots that you need to cover. So I know it looks stupid a lot of the time, but it really does help. So if it works. Okay, so this spot's going to be covered, but I'll go kind of along the edge of that. So we're starting to look like we're getting somewhere, right? Like, it doesn't look great, but does it look like we're going towards the direction of a skeleton? Yeah. The biggest thing, I think, is that you uh, just kind of take your time and you're patient with it. So for the neck bones that I didn't draw out, but I'm just going to kind of sketch and go around, I'm not going all the way up underneath my chin just because of my personal anatomy, but you can if you want to. But personally, I find that we can do some shadows underneath here and then look like this is recessed a little bit. I'm just kind of doing like a column of white that we can then do details on later. So that's going to be kind of the spot that we stop in for now. And then I'm going to use other creams, and you can use water-based makeup, you can use whatever you like, and whatever you have, you know, eyeshadows, but I'm going to use this palette, and I'm going to start going in and creating this kind of like psychedelic drip. Actually, before I do that, let me do the white on the center of my nose. So I'm going to take the skinny side of the sponge. Good enough. So for this, I'm going to want a small, preferably synthetic, but we're just going to see what pops out. Brush, and we're going to go and we're going to start doing these kind of melty swirls everywhere. Now, because a lot of it's going to be next to the white, I want it to stand out against the white, meaning that I'm not going to want to put like yellow as my first color. So I think I'm going to start with red. Let's get a little bit on my brush there. If you have like a palette or some, plate or something next to you, where you can kind of thin out enough where you can just apply what you want. That helps. Now it will want to start blending with the white. So the minute it starts to do that, that's time for you to go and get more of that color. Now, while it's in this cream stage, you can do all kinds of blending and additions and just kind of making it work for your specific look that you're going for. So starting off just like that. And on the neck, we're going to have to go through multiple rows of this. So I'm just going to kind of go, and I'm actually going to do different kind of drip patterns because different widths of the drips is going to create a lot of dynamicism. I think that's how you say the word. But it's just going to create a more dynamic look. So we have that row, and I'm going to put a little bit more. I'm going to put a second thing of red here. You want to keep those relatively even in saturation as you go through. This is one of the looks that's hard to do when you're not wearing a wig or something, because it's going to go into your hair and you're like, where do I stop it? Do I put it into my scalp? You know. Then I'm going to clean off that brush. You can also, use multiple brushes, whatever you want. And then I'm going to go into like I think I'm going to do a pink color. I think I missed this whole side of my face. This pink looks very different than the red in the palette, but it's not showing up that different. You can see every time I move my neck, it just creases insanely badly. So that's part of the reason why I just don't paint my neck that often. I'm doing it for you because I love you. Okay, and then instead of doing like rainbow colors that all go well side by side, this has made me think, you know what, I just need to put a bunch of different colors on so that it looks halfway decent. So I'm gonna go with a bright green next. And you just don't want them to blend. You want them to kind of lay on top of each other, so. Colors. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a blue. So many blue options. I'm gonna do this one. Okay, so we're starting to get something going on here, right? Mm-hmm. Right in your hairline where it's super annoying to wash out. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the same brush and I'm gonna go in with that black. I'm gonna go in it with a black cream, and I'm gonna start kind of creating the general shape for like vertebrae. So I'm just kind of doing like C shapes like this. You know, because this is already kind of like a cartoony style look. I'm not worried too much about the accuracy. Not like this is C4, you know, this is C5. But if you want to be more accurate, feel free. And I'm going to take black and kind of go where I would normally contour my jaw. And then I'm going to take that and blend it down like this. And you can kind of work on some of those details that you have in black from the water-based makeup, and you can kind of fiddle around with them in the cream. Now, again, you could have done this whole thing in cream. It's really up to you. I just don't love the feeling of wearing tons of cream. It's just not the most comfortable, but it's something that you can definitely do if you want. I try to minimize the amount I'm wearing as much as possible. So see how these eye shapes are totally different? So I'm going to work on making them similar. And again, anytime you go up into the eyebrow area, you want to be very, very light-handed and gentle. You also may notice that there's a lot of creasing on my eye from when I just did the water-based makeup, but I'm going to set everything with shadows, so I'm not too worried about that. And even just with the eyes, you know, I'm going to do quite a bit of blending and whatnot with powder. Always start smaller with your shapes, so if you need to go bigger, you can, and it's not a big deal. I think I said with powder than with cream. Close enough. Okay, and then we have our mouth. When you're feeling yourself, but you're dead. Okay, so I'm gonna even out the white makeup, and then we're gonna set everything with powder and go in with eyeshadows. Now you want to do all of your, you know, evening out of your creams and stuff before you put powder on top. Otherwise, you lock it in, and it's really, really hard to undo. This is the worst feeling in the world. Also, if you think you have yellow teeth, put fucking white on your face. It will make you feel awful. Okay, and then I'm gonna take that sponge that I had and even everything out. Just a little bit more. Also, you can't touch your face because it's extremely sticky, which is great. It feels awesome. Okie dokie. Now we're gonna go in with a powder. I know I saw it yesterday, so if I can't find it right now, I'm gonna be annoyed. Ooh, I think I know where it is. Okie dokie. So I'm going to be using the RCMA No Color Powder. So this is good instead of something like a translucent powder because translucent will dull down these bright colors. And while you can put shadow over them and build them back up, not a big deal. And this is much cheaper. This still keeps the vibrancy of a lot of your colors. So we're going to go ahead and use this instead. And I'm going to apply it with a powder puff. You can apply it with a brush or with a sponge, but whatever you do, you want to make sure you're applying a ton of the powder because it's going to be it's your whole face you can think of as like wet or sticky or whatever, and you're going to have to put enough powder on it that you have no stickiness left. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go in with a lot of powder, and we're just going to start pressing in small areas until I've covered my whole face. I got a little bit of transfer on that. That's okay. We'll make it work. I just like dumped a bunch of powder in my hair. Now there is, like Ben Nye has a super white powder for like clown to complement clown white. So there is white colored powder, and brands are coming out with different colored loose powder to complement their colorful foundations. So if you want those, they're out there, and I'd be happy to provide recommendations if that's what you're looking for specific reasons. Like let's say you're gonna be a specific color for Halloween or for a cosplay or something like that. Those are out there, but if you're just doing a bunch of colors, a no color setting powder is the way to go. So once you have all of this on your face and you're looking, casket ready in more ways than one, you're going to go ahead and touch your face and feel around and see if there's any stickiness that you feel. If there is, you're going to go and want to just apply more powder. And you'll know it when you feel it after you've put a ton of this powder on. Thanks, Jazzy. I appreciate it. I mean, I know right now maybe it's not the most beautiful, but hopefully we'll get there. So you're going to want to feel around. And once you've done that and everything you own is covered in powder, and I mean everything, then you're going to take a big brush. You don't need to let this sit on there for a long period of time. The powder molecules and the cream molecules bond immediately. So it's not like something like baking where you need to let it sit for a long period of time. This works very fast. So you're going to want to take a big fluffy brush like this, and you can just go and in circular motions or sweeping motions, however you want. You're going to start going in and taking off any excess powder. Now, while it isn't quite as vibrant as it was, it's still much more, thanks, Jazzy. It's still much more vibrant than it would be with just translucent powder. Okay, now is the detail part, the fun part, the challenging part. Could be all of the above, depending on you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in with some gray eyeshadows, and we're going to start making the shapes for everything on the face and doing some different detail levels. So let me go grab some gray eyeshadow. Okay, so with these, if you're trying to go for something semi-natural, you're going to want to have cooler tones. So there's a couple ways you could do it. So you could do like your grays. You could do something that's more like an actual skull, like what you would see in like a museum, where it has these like kind of tan and like brown tones to it. Or you could go for something that's not realistic, but has like more like shimmery tones and stuff like that. I'm going to stay away from the shimmery tones. I'm going to keep to the cool gray tones. Okay, so first I'm going to take a really tiny flat paddle brush, like that, with a gray tone on it, and I'm going to start sketching out my, oh, I need to set this. My lips are still fairly young. Great. Okay. Ooh, I'm blown out. Okay. So I'm going to go in the middle of my lip, top and bottom. And again, like, probably should take my lip piercings out, but don't really care that much. And then you're going to start kind of sketching individual teeth. And this is where they stick out of the gum, so they're going to be relatively straight on the sides, and they're going to be rounded at the top. So kind of like that. So once you have the teeth kind of looking like that, teeth aren't perfect, and you can kind of mess them up as much or as little as you want to kind of create some dimension. And also, some of them are just going to be shaped differently. You don't have chiclet teeth generally, so kind of keeping that in mind for how you can change the shape. Then to do the roots, so all of your front teeth are going to have one single root, or like part of the root that goes in. So basically what that looks like is you are going to do kind of like a triangle down from the center of the tooth. However, the center is going to be the most white, and then it's going to, because it's three-dimensional, it's going to be rounded and create this tooth root shape. So just like a simple triangle shape like that is definitely a great way to get started. And then you can start gently blending in. And all of these are going to be straight down. Like that. And you can go in and brighten up the center with your white or bone color. So something to that effect. Then we're going to do the same thing on the top. And if you want to add molars, you can by changing how you do the root. So molars will have two root parts that kind of come up or down, depending on what part of the mouth that they're in. It's cool doing makeup like this because you have to kind of think a lot more about what's going on underneath the skin. So you have to be kind of like learn a little bit more about anatomy and what that looks like. So see how like that's like not super blended? Well, you can take either a clean brush or you can get most of the color off this brush and just kind of use the remnants to make it blend a lot better. Because really anything's going to look a lot less blended next to the white, so you can take it and kind of take your brush and blend it out. And also you can layer on some white or bone colored shadow. Now, when you powdered, if you did like me and you forgot the sides of your nose, you can always go back in, clean up your powder a little bit by going in and removing any excess creams that have kind of gathered in things like the sides of your nose or anything like that, and then go in and apply the powder. You can apply that with a small brush. You can apply that with your sponge, whatever you want. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start using that same gray color to do work on my cheeks. So I'm going to kind of go start creating some dimension. Oh, okay, that's cool. Then I'm going to take a fluffier brush because I think it'll look good. I'm going to take, well, I'm going to first take, oh, jeez, I'm dropping everything. I'm going to use some eye primer. I'm going to use some colorless eye primer because then it won't interfere with the color of the eye makeup. I'm going to dab that all around on places that I tend to crease, which is my whole eyelid. like some black eyeshadow. Then I'm going to take the gray on the same fluffy brush. You can start with your smaller brush and go up if you want. But then I like to do this where I go from the center, the inner lid, and then I kind of go straight up. This creates a lot of really nice shadow that creates the brow bone. Just like that. Go back in this. Just applying a little gray around the edges is going to give a lot of like three-dimension, like dimensionality, I don't know, whatever, to the face. You kind of want to do it in little doses because the minute you start to kind of do too much, it becomes really overwhelmed with all that. You don't really get to see any of the detail. I'm going to go in and try to brighten up that little spot where I had some transfer. Like right here. If I can't, then I'm just going to make the drip kind of work over there. And look, boom, it's gone. So you can take that white eyeshadow and clean up any spots. You can brighten any spots that you need to. I'm also going to go under the melty spots with a little bit of a shadow. So that'll kind of make it seem a little bit separated from everything. I'm going to have to go back in and, touch up a few spots. But I think overall it'll look really nice with everything. See, this is the spot where I had too much cream and I didn't blend it while it was whatchamacallit, while it was wet. So then I put powder on it, and then it's a lot harder to make it look like I want, but it's okay. So I'm feeling pretty good about everything. The mouth needs to be darkened up. So I'm going to go in and do a lot of the same things that I did already for the mouth, but I'm just going to go in and do them with black. So just going to give a little bit more. And this is going to be a dark brown. It's not quite black. Feeling pretty good about that. Just want to brighten up the whites. For me, it's a lot of like going back and forth. Like, is this what I want? I'm not sure. Like, to take this fluffy brush and I'm going to go deepen up this shape. Can change the shape here a little bit. So just a little blending. Looking pretty good, if I do say so myself, which I did. So I'm going to go in and deepen up the sides of the neck. Some black shadow. Okay, now it's time to make this like psychedelic drip part really pop. So I'm gonna go get like my neons palette, and then we're just gonna just go nuts. Actually, I have a palette that should work pretty well right here. Yeah, this will work. Ugh, that mirror just like shone right in my eye. Okay, so I'm going to start with the yellow because it's the lightest color. And that right there. Once I kind of like lay it down, then I'm going to smooth it out by just windshield wiper motions. Then I'm going to go with the bright green. Okay, and then we're gonna do some bright blue. Blue drip right there. And then finally, we're gonna do our pink, which I have more of like a fuchsia color. And because this one's on the edge, I'm gonna try to focus on making this drip look the best. I feel like that's already like much better, much more vibrant. But I feel like I gotta put glitter on it. You know? Just love glitter. I love glitter so much. Okay, so that's everything, and you could leave it like this and it would be totally fine and cool. Am I gonna do that? No. No. Why would you even ask? Just silly question. Silly person. And put a little bit of base. I'm so clumsy. It's insane. It's not even real. I dropped my pencil sharpener. Pencil shards everywhere. Okay. So, I'm going to... No, I don't think I'm gonna do glitter on... like, glitter of every color on everything. I don't think that's what I'm gonna do. But I might. Who knows? I think one thing I want to do is do some highlights in the in here so that it looks like there's some dimension there. So I'm going to take a liner brush and I'm just going to start kind of putting a little light highlight in there just to create some additional dimension. So that gives a little bit more life to it, so it's not so flat. I like that. I actually, you know what? I might not do glitter because just using the white highlights, I feel like it looks a lot better and less like just flat. But let me do some final touches because I think I'm just gonna keep it like this. Some black liner. Okay. And I'm not going to put any mascara on because I have such small lashes, you wouldn't be able to tell. I am going to spray my face down so that this lasts because I'm doing a live at 7 p.m. My time. And I need this to hold on for a couple hours. So if you want to watch my live where I talk about my crochet along, you can see it on @IanAsAWeirdo on YouTube. Oh my god. This stuff is pure alcohol, I forgot. Should dab a little bit right here. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed it. If you would have made any changes or anything you want to see next, please let me know because I'd love to hear. And yeah, so I will be around and hopefully I'll see you tonight on my other channel. Thanks.